Good morning, friends. Cariboo Weather Dude YouTube channel back here again. It's cool and clear here in Wells. Yeah, a little bit cool. It's going to stay cool for a few days, but don't worry. This high pressure weather will be defeated eventually by Pacific storms once again. We're going to get our storm track back maybe next week sometime. Until then, some of you who live in the lower places, in the towns, I'm hearing a lot of you are just socked in with clouds. Unfortunately, it's the reality for you. You got the inversion going on, which means the warm air is escaping, and then the cooler air is sinking down, and the cooler air doesn't hold the moisture well, and the high pressure is holding it down, so that it condenses into cloud, blah, 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 blah. Sorry, it's cloudy for you. You're not enjoying this great weather. But hey, you got it way better than Eastern Canada does right now, who just has nonstop storm going on. So we're going to see our storm track return to BC eventually. And that's good news because the threat of the extreme cold that's coming into the prairies, crossing into BC, it's just gonna like a few fingers are gonna go, I'm trying, but it's not gonna make it in. That's the good news, friends. We'll talk about all that on the show and more. Let's go. Sketched out. Big moose. Getting angrier. Now you jump off. Here she goes. You never know what can happen. What's going on, Here she comes. That's pretty close. So like we say, we got our storm track basically diving down in through the east, and the cold air coming down behind that, spilling out into the prairies there, spilling out down the United States. We got threat of a pretty good-sized storm coming through the USA right around there. Let's go back again Tuesday, Wednesday. Here's some storm coming through. More through the Great Lakes. Friday into Saturday. Still another round comes through now. A big storm about a week from now coming out into the United States. So a couple rounds of bad weather continuing there, and that cold air descending down in behind, of course. Yeah, cool and clear here in Wells, minus 14.4 still at 10 in the morning, but that's nice. Hey, it just warmed up, 14.2. Our high last night, minus 9, around midnight or whatever like that, and then minus 15.8 was the lowest we got this morning. So, but hey, that's nice. The humidity pretty high actually in the valley, so it was hard to get a good view of the stars last night even, let alone to see the northern lights, unfortunately. But let's look over the last week or so. Here in Wells at 3,053 feet above sea level, we started off the month hovering around zero a fair bit until about the 4th. Then we had one night where we dropped down pretty low, down to minus 18.3 was the coldest we've seen. Now we've been climbing back up into this high pressure. You can see here where we had a little bit of fluctuation. That was during our atmospheric river time, but now we're into this big fluctuation. We're having cool nights, but pretty warm days. You can see they're getting a little bit less warm every day and a little bit cooler every night. That's sort of the pattern we're in right now, but we're not going to get too cold. I mean, minus 18.3 is cold. It's lethal cold. It's deathly cold, but it's not the kind of cold that is freezing my pipes, for example, or my vehicle won't start. So to me, that's a tolerable Canadian cold. I accept minus 18 all the time. That's great. Great weather. Well, let's play through the animation. British Columbia still staying high pressure, 1037 this afternoon there. See those flurries off the backside of that low that's trying to move down, bringing cold air down in behind us. Snow into Alberta. Even you areas that aren't under watch are probably going to see some snow. Saskatchewan, even more likely. A little bit of snowfall there with some deep cold diving down there. On the edge of that cold is where that snowfall boundary will be lying. So you're either on the cold or you're on the snow side. Like these last bunch, that is looping up and down and around from the Arctic, making its way towards the Great Lakes. As it does so, it is making the Great Lakes a continuous region of bad weather. Still trailing out into Wednesday in Newfoundland is that last storm, which is still a 978 low with heavy winds hitting the Torngat Mountains up there in Labrador. You can see the next low has now moved into Ontario and sitting right over the province by Wednesday evening, fully engulfing southern Ontario, or central Ontario at least, bringing more snowfall even down into the United States. High pressure now living on the BC side, on the Alberta side, on the west side, I'm trying to say, but I'm stumbling with my tongue. But you can see how cold it will be in Alberta. But look at BC. We do have some cold areas, minus 18s and whatnot. But we got stable weather. It's not changing a whole lot day by day by day. Stable weather, and you can see that that cold air mass is misshapen, weird, and out of place. It's not where it should be. That's not your nice round polar vortex. The air is spilling out. It's sinking and descending all over North America. Thursday, still seeing that last storm that hit Ontario now making its way through Newfoundland, through the Atlantic provinces and places like that. High pressure deepening, 1054 high. That is so crazy. That's like ear-popping pressure. I've rarely seen pressures like that. Into the 30s for Saskatchewan, 35s, temperatures like that. You're going to see some wind on that Alberta side as well, so that's going to bring up your wind chills. Even in the areas that are not into the 35s, you're going to be quite cold coming into Friday morning. Now, most of Ontario, that high pressure sinking all the way down to Florida, all the way down, and you can imagine what that's going to do for the Americans. Well, it's like, it's definitely chilling things out, but the high pressure reaches all the way down there. Cold weather is making it to Texas, is making it to places like Louisiana, Alabama, Georgia, and things like that. Big time high pressure, big time Arctic air spilling out in time for the weekend, Saturday midnight BC time. Look at what's going on there. Extremely cold, even southern Ontario, even areas in southern Ontario that rarely get cold are into the minus 20s, like London. You're not used to seeing minus 20s. I get it. Now you can see that next big storm is how really cranking in the United States. So what happens, that cold air sinks down and then it mixes up with this. You can see this flow right here from the Gulf of Mexico. This flow is coming right into Texas. That flow is coming up, meeting that cold air, and the cold air makes it sit down. It sits down as snowflakes, right? So that's where we're going so far this week. You can see BC, our high pressure is spilling out to the ocean. There are storms out there still, but the storm track still remains kind of an up loop-de-loop sort of deal like we've been seeing. Cold, but not so much for us in BC. Again, like I say, Saturday morning, we're chilly, minus 17s maybe in some places, minus 10s in others. We're chilly. It counts as Arctic outflow, I guess, maybe for some places. Does it make it out to the coast? Yeah, I mean, even Vancouver Island seeing a lot of below zero, not substantially maybe, but some, sure, minus 4s and deeper, into Saturday morning. That's entirely believable. Look at that high pressure spilling way out, way into the States there Saturday, making a huge storm in the United States. So we got a big storm coming to the U.S., a large storm, a lot of cold air that's coming after these storms move out that are going to hit Ontario for the next day or 2 or 3, and that's going to move to Newfoundland. Continuous stormy pattern, major winter storm going to break out across the United States. Big time freezing rain and whatnot. You can see our high pressure starting to break down in BC. As we look at Sunday now, we're starting to see the storm track begin to shift a little bit towards the northern BC coast. Again, still that storm going on into Sunday morning. Very, very cold still for much of the continent. Maybe even getting down to near zero in southern parts of Texas. Over in Colorado, very cold, in the minus 20s in some of the mountains there. Our friends in the prairies are going to be chattering their teeth, 26 below, even out towards New Brunswick cold, Labrador cold, Quebec cold, and of course some of the Arctic cold, but a lot of it not near as cold as it's used to being. We've had that warm-up that's been going on for quite some time up there, and even though it's minus 16, if you're an American viewer, you're like, minus 16 Celsius is a warm-up? Well, compared to what they had up there, yeah, it most definitely is. So that's a big story. This big storm in the U.S. South is going to be a big story. Wow, look at that one, 938 low. I mean, who wants to invade Greenland? You're just going to get hammered by bad weather all the time. Whoa, what's this, BC? Coming on down the coast there Sunday morning. I mean, this could change some. It won't look exactly like this, which is why we're using the 3D model. It's a little less precise, so then you can't see your town name on it, so you're not like, oh, look, we're going to get snow for sure on Monday. We don't know that far out exactly how much modeling will change. But I think it's safe to assume that we're probably coming back into a weather track from the Pacific. Here's a low developing from BC side into Alberta, making an Alberta clipper without coming down from the Arctic, right? The way we've seen that things were coming down from the Arctic. You can see the temperatures have now bumped back up there. So a week from now, I'm probably going to see above temperatures in Alberta. Going to start seeing above temperatures still in the daytime here. That's going to continue going on, and then we're going to start seeing our track of weather coming back. Start seeing our weather coming back into BC. That storm track that's been really pummeling up from the south is now making its way further and further east and still pummeling up from like the south, still moving kind of in a north way, but now we're kind of getting back to like a normal trend. So hopefully this is what we're starting to see in about a week and a half from now. Seems like most models are kind of close on that. So we're starting to see consistency in the models again. That's nice. That's nice. Starting to see consistency in the models a little more for 10 days out. We're starting to have a pretty good idea where things are going to go. After a little bit of uncertainty we had, we're going to come right back to our Gulf of Alaska upper level low track that's been feeding the storms into us in British Columbia so much of the last, well, since 2024, really. Well, look at things in Canada. Still we have in BC some fog or smog issues. They finally expanded that to Quesnel, so that's nice to see. Well, it's not nice to see it, but I've been sort of saying for the last bunch of days, like Quesnel was really absolutely disgusting. The air quality was really bad because some of that cloud isn't just cloud. It's like air particulates that are coming from the smokestacks of industry, right? And I'm not trying to like be an environmental alarmist, but I'm saying like, man, I'm a sensitive person. I come into that town and I see that. I'm like, as an asthmatic, I have never had troubles here in Wells. It's one reason why I stopped being a farm kid was because, and I'll tell you, when I went and cowboyed in the Peace, I had to be eating friggin' Dristan every day. Hay fever bothers me. I get bad asthma attacks from it. Ontario, even living away from farms, I would sometimes get affected by the air quality in the province. I've never had that problem here in Wells. I don't have air quality problems with my lungs. Even during our bad fire spells, I've managed to not really have any lung problems, right? So just to explain, but wind warning right now in Alberta, that's going on 90 kilometers an hour, secure loose objects. We also got snow squall in here as well. Snow squalls are possible tonight, causing brief but heavy snowfall and poor visibility. We got weather still diving down from the north like it has been. We're not seeing it in BC, but that's like looping all the way from the western edge of the Alaska, from the Aleutians, looping all the way up and down and around. And the cold front is basically somewhere along the Saskatchewan-Alberta border, more or less, cutting through Alberta. And on the edge of that cold front, we're seeing the snow squalls and things like that. We do have a snow squall watch up further north to from Fort McMurray all the way down to Wainwright, basically. So you may get put onto a warning as well, and that goes for La Loche and areas like that on the Saskatchewan side. Snow squall, blowing snow may make things hazardous there. Blowing snow up there in the Northwest Territories, wind warnings 90 kilometers an hour. So areas around Yellowknife, Great Slave Lake, you got some cold, nasty weather going on for you. Cold, though, is the warning in Ontario all along Hudson Bay and James Bay. We got minus 45 wind chills expected. Maybe into Wednesday, even over for Moosonee, minus 45 down there for areas south of like Hearst and Geraldton and whatnot, 40. We're still in snow squall warnings for the same place, Sault Ste. Marie and on up north, the east end of Lake Superior, 20 to 40 centimeters, continuing this afternoon from Batchewana Bay and south. This afternoon through Wednesday and possibly into Thursday for locations north of Batchewana Bay to Lake Superior Provincial Park. Lake effect snow will lift north through the day as winds become westerly. Westerly winds gusting up to 50 kilometers an hour near Lake Superior will result in local blowing snow. Now, Bracebridge, Perry Sound, and all those areas, local snowfall 20 to 40 centimeters beginning this morning, easing Wednesday morning. However, continuing through Wednesday morning, in addition, westerly to southwesterly winds of 50 kilometers an hour. So we're going to have more snow moving in Wednesday with an Alberta clipper. So you're not done. You're just going to have a different kind of storm, I think, come Wednesday. Snow squall watch to the south of there for 20 centimeters maximum. Lake effect snow gusting 60 kilometers an hour maximum up along Wyerton, Tobermory, up the Bruce Peninsula, 10 to 15 centimeters of snow continues this afternoon. It will continue this evening over the Bruce Peninsula with winds of 50 to 60 kilometers an hour. We've seen the rest of our blizzard warnings and snow squall watches and things like that in Ontario and into Quebec Extreme cold, wind chill values near minus 39 can give you frostbite. Further north, still cold, 48 below for you. And even along the Gaspé edge of Quebec, weather, yellow advisory for weather, it just says. Winter weather travel advisory in effect. Snow and blowing snow. The combination of flurries, at times heavy and blowing snow, leads to a deterioration of road conditions until early this afternoon in the lower St. Lawrence and northern Gaspé Peninsula. And we're still on snow squall watches in Newfoundland still Wednesday morning until Thursday morning. So the next round is coming for them. It's really been nonstop. The flow has been just nonstop for our friends in Newfoundland. That's what I'm saying this morning, my friends. I just can't thank you enough for being here. I mean, I'm a small-time channel. I'm very small-time. I mean, I get a couple hundred views on a lot of my videos, and it really breaks my heart because I put so much effort into them. I had a video I made yesterday, put a couple hours into, got 100 views. It breaks my heart, and then I get these people who are just show up and troll me and attack me, say the most awful things, personal attacks directed. My Facebook, I barely even want to go on it anymore because I say anything on just this, stream of extremists show up to call me all kind. It's getting, the abuse catches up to you. And the reason why I didn't want to talk about this until the very end is because those assholes won't watch this far into a video anyways. So that's, just saying I don't get the views to sustain myself from ad revenue. Right. I wish I did. I mean, and that's why I've been trying to get to 10,000 subscribers. I'm in a month right now where my views are way down after December being very good, being way up, and that's it gets hard to want to get up every day and talk about weather when there's nothing going on outside. Views are down. That's partly because of there's nothing going on outside here. And my target audience is mostly in British Columbia. And I'm trying to change that by talking more and more about Canada. I'm trying to get the word around it. So just any support is really appreciated. If that support's just showing up every day and watching a video, leaving a comment or hitting the thumbs up, subscribing, those things really matter. But it's the reason why I've been able to survive doing this is because of my patrons and because of the channel members here. You're actually the ones who are putting the food on my plate. The ad revenue, now that I'm not monetized on Facebook, my ad revenue percentage of how much of my income, because YouTube ad revenue is I'm not getting enough watch time on my videos. So I'm just trying to personally update you that I feel a little defeated right now, and I just keep doing this, keep trying, and I just can't thank you enough. That's, I don't know what else to say. I'm tired. I'm tired of trolls. I'm tired of the way things are going on planet Earth. I'm tired of the way things are going in North America, and it's breaking my heart, and it's wearing me down. And when things are going well here in the channel, I can kind of push that stuff aside and be whatever. Say whatever you want, trolls. I'm doing great. Life's great. And life is great. I am doing great. And maybe I needed to just tell you how I'm feeling so that I'd sit here and realize I'm doing great. There's nothing wrong. Everything's fine in my house. And all those problems aren't my problems. I don't have to take them on. Anyways, find a playlist here on the channel and keep watching. I got a lot of playlists that are really, really fun. Here's one for you right here. You can check out there. Check out this playlist. I don't know which one I'll put up. I haven't decided yet. Otherwise, I'd explain it to you. But some of these are great outdoor videos. I got hundreds of outdoor videos, wildfires, thunderstorms, animals. There's a lot of content that hasn't been watched on this channel. And I would just love it if more of that stuff that I put so much of my time into was seen and loved. Okay, thanks everybody. Have a great day. Bye now.